So, Nadeshot recently made some comments on his stream talking about the gaming community, where he mentioned that he thinks that the gaming community in general these days isn't what it used to be. But one thing that I kind of, it's more of an agree to disagree, and I'm going to get into the reasons why after I show the clip, but it's of him basically saying that, you know, in the gaming community nowadays, everyone, all they want to do is see games fail.
There's something weird that has happened in the gaming community. I'm serious too when I say this. For some reason, everybody in the gaming community wants games to fail. It's very bizarre. Like, the whole thing with XDefiant is still, like, stumps me to this day. People complain about not having enough games to play, but when new games come out, even before they have played it, they're like, that game sucks, I'm not going to play it. Listen, man, if we keep tearing down these studios trying to make good games, like, yeah, not every single one is going to be fun, and not every single one is going to be a hit. But if we're sitting here, like, preying on its downfall before the game even comes out, what do you think's going to happen? Nobody's going to be investing in gaming and making new games. And you're not going to have shit to fucking play. You're going to be sitting here playing MW2 Remastered Edition. You're going to be sitting here trying to play fucking the same old games for the 1,000th time because these billionaires and fucking multi-billion publishers, they're not gonna greenlight any new games, any new concepts, any new IP. I mean, I try to put myself in the shoes of myself when I was like 16 years old, but I can't. I was excited for new games when they came out. The problem is now we have too many options. We've seen too many different games. We've seen too many different ways to interact with games. Like, back in the day, bro, in 2007, when Halo 3, Gears of War 1, and Call of Duty Modern Warfare dropped the same fucking year, bro, we were lined up outside of GameStops, whether it was in a mall or attached to a fucking Hollywood Video, sitting there waiting, camped out, drinking fucking Mountain Dew, waiting for these new games for the midnight release. Everybody was so excited about it. Now when new games come out, we're fucking sitting around a goddamn fire witch artifact, like doing a satanic ritual for the game to fail miserably. I don't really get it.
So obviously that clip goes for a couple minutes, and you know there is a decent amount to break down in the video itself. But I think that in terms of, like, you know, if you look at it from an outside perspective and you look at it on a blank canvas altogether, you would kind of think that, yeah, Nadeshot has a point. And to a certain extent, I feel like he kind of does. At first, if you don't think about it, you're like, yeah, everyone just hates on video games these days. Like, man, it's not like it used to be where everyone was, like, always hyped about video games and always, you know, positive when it came to new releases and stuff like that, where these days everyone's so negative. And you know what? When you look at it like that, yes, Nadeshot is right. But if you look into it more, you can see why he's inherently wrong. The gaming community, including myself, because I am a massive gamer. I love, all I do is play video games all day. Legit, my spare time, which is a lot these days, when I'm not at the gym, all I'm doing is playing video games. Even when I'm not streaming video games, I'm playing them off stream. I love video games. I've loved them ever since I was young, and I will to the day I die. But I can tell you right now that video games have gotten a lot worse nowadays when it comes to releases. And the examples that Nadeshot gave out when it comes to, like, Halo and Gears of War from back in the day, like, you can't be comparing AAA releases now to some of the greatest games that have ever been released in human history. So if we look at how games were back then to games were now, it is complete, absolute night and day. And that gives it so much reason why gamers hate, like, game releases these days, and why I think it's fine, you know, and absolutely to a certain extent acceptable, of why gamers and the community hate on video games these days. If we look back at, like, his examples, like he did with Halo and Gears of War, that when those games were coming up and you saw the trailers for them and you saw gameplay for them, you knew that they were going to be good. Every part of your soul, your body, every bone in your body knew that this game was going to be great. When Halo 3's trailer first came out and it was announced, everyone was like, game's going to be good. We just know. We know the game's going to be good because we know that the developers have put their heart and soul into it, and we know that when the game gets released, it's going to be reasonably priced, and it's going to be finished. And that's what we got back then. But then if we look at games these days, it is complete opposite. to what it was. And the one thing that I think he's talking about mainly, especially now, like in recent time, is when it comes to like Ubisoft. So recently, it's been like with Star Wars Outlaws and Assassin's Creed Shadows. And those are two of the biggest games when it comes to people hating on like new releases that are upcoming. And there is so many things to hate about these new games that is completely acceptable. Like, I don't know if any of you have watched the gameplay like reveal for Star Wars Outlaws, but it's horrible. It looks bad. It doesn't look good whatsoever. It looks like some unfinished rubbish that they just tacked together, shoved Star Wars onto it, and pushed it out. And as you can see from the background of my videos, I love Star Wars. I have multiple helmets and lightsabers. Like, I am a massive... I love Star Wars, so I grew up watching Star Wars. And I love Star Wars to the day I die. And like, this looks like ass. I'd love to defend it, but I can't because it looks horrible. And then on top of that, what do we get? We get this. We get all the different additions to it. And this is in Australian dollars as well. Look how expensive this is for us here in Australia. $190 for an Ultimate Edition for all in-game stuff as well. Like, at least when I used to pay for Ultimate Editions when I was younger, like, it would be for a console and I would get some stuff along with it. This right here is what I got for when I pre-ordered Gears of War 3. This is the limited edition, like, not limited edition, sorry, like special edition box for Gears of War 3. And if I open it up right here, look how many like Easter eggs and stuff that I get from it. Like, you get so many actual collectible things from this and photos. And then one of the thing that I love the most about this is a gear itself that has Dr. Adam Phoenix on it. Like, how amazing is this? And what do I get now? What do I get now for $190? I get some in-game cosmetics and 3 days early access and then a season pass for like things that I don't even know when they're going to come out and if they're going to be good in the first place. And not only that, but I love how they tack on their streaming service these days because everything has some kind of subscription service, which to me is getting out of hand. Xbox Game Pass, I think, is really the only like decent subscription that I think is worth your money. Everything else, like EA Play, you can get that through Xbox Game Pass. Ubisoft's, whatever the hell it's called, not worth it. Not worth your pay. $24 a month just for Ubisoft games and that's it? No. 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 And I remember back in the day when you used to hear about a Ubisoft game, you know, you would be like, damn, Ubisoft? Ubisoft's releasing a new game? Like they're releasing a new Splinter Cell or a Tom Clancy's game or a new Assassin's Creed is coming out. Like back in the day, Assassin's Creed, not like the shit that they're tuning out now. Like, yeah, all the you know, Assassin's Creed Shadows, like controversy that's been going on. I've had a look at the gameplay and it looks kind of mediocre. And then there's the whole entire thing of like, you know, Yasuke just being added into the game just for, you know, some kind of, you know, woke points, which everyone is like, you know, adding that like, oh, they only added him in just to, you know, basically get some kind of, you know, multicultural into the game because, you know, they want to be as woke as possible when it comes to all these video games. And you know what? Usually whenever people call woke for things, I say that they're stretching and I think that they're complete, like, right-winged absolute idiots. But you know what? When it comes to this, especially after hearing the hip-hop music when Yasuke started to fight in that gameplay reveal, at a certain point, I just like, yep, I have to agree with you on this. But now, when we hear Ubisoft, we're like, oh God, what the hell is going to release? Now when we hear EA is releasing a new game, we're like, oh, great. How many things are they going to make us pay for until the complete release comes out? And not only that, as well as that, we get half-tack bullcrap so much. How many games get released these days that are unfinished rubbish? I mean, we could go back as far as like one of the biggest examples of this, of like what was advertised to us and what we got being two complete separate things is Anthem. Does everyone remembers Anthem? We all remember the debacle that Anthem was back in E3 2017 when we all saw it. We were like, damn, Anthem looks good. And then it came out and we're like, what is this? This isn't what we got. This isn't what we were shown. And the game was empty and it was rubbish. It was trash. I mean, if we go to even more recent stuff, a game that I love I love this game, and it is by far one of my favorite games that I've ever played in my life. Cyberpunk 2077. But when it got released, yeah, it was still good, but it was not finished. It was not finished, and there were so many issues with the game, and it wasn't as full-fledged as it is now. Like when 2.0 got released last year, that is some of the most fun I've ever had in a video game. And I loved the world of Night City. Hands down, one of my favorite experiences playing through the entire story of Cyberpunk 2077 and then Phantom Liberty as well, which to me is one of the greatest DLCs to ever been released. But if you look at when it got released to now, it's night and day. It's absolutely night and day. So even games as good as Cyberpunk, they're getting released half-assed. And if you want to talk about games getting released half-assed as well, like we get them all the time. Look at Redfall, man. Oh my, Redfall was like, it wasn't even a game that was like released unfit. It's a game that should have never even been released altogether. So not only are we getting games that like are half finished when they get released, we're getting games that should never have been made in the first place. And a lot of people think that this comes down to like the developers themselves, but no, it's not the developers. A lot of the times, it's the publishers. I put the blame on unfinished games coming down to publishers because publishers push and push and push. They don't realize how long these games take to come out. And they're the ones, I guess, to a certain extent, you can blame developers for a lot of things that happen in video games. But at the same time, when it comes to unfinished bullcrap, a lot of the times I just blame the developers. The publishers, sorry. I blame the publishers because they just push and not let people finish the games. But obviously, as well, to combat Nadeshots' comments saying that everyone looks at all games negatively, no. We don't look at all games negatively. We just want finished games. I mean, look at Elden Ring. Elden Ring is one of the greatest examples of games that when this game first came out, everyone loved it. I mean, when the game first got announced, I wasn't a Souls fan. I finally played through Elden Ring earlier this year, and I loved it. It's one of my favorite games that I've ever played. And when it got announced that the DLC was coming out, Shadow of Erdtree, we were hype. Everyone wasn't hating on the game. Everyone was like, I can't wait. I'm going to take the day off work. I'm going to take the week off work just to finish the game. And even though when the game came out, everyone was complaining like, it's too hard. Slight little adjustment. Not like major adjustments to games like Cyberpunk had to did. Just a slight little adjustment to the mechanics of like the DLC and the like fragments that you had to collect. DLC, one of the greatest DLCs I've ever played in my life. And if you want to talk about upcoming games that people are looking forward to, Black Myth Wukong. Black Myth Wukong looks amazing. I mean, compare the gameplay of Black Myth Wukong's demo to Star Wars Outlaws, and it's night and day. Absolute night and day. So to me, of like Nadeshot coming out and talking about how like, the gaming community is like, just wanting to hate on all these games. Yes, there are certain people that are like that. Without a doubt, there's always going to be people who hate on the fact of being hate. They just hate because they want to hate. And that's how it's always been. That's how it always will be. But we don't hate on video games because we want to hate on them. We want video games to do. I want video games to be great. I want video games to be in the best state that they've ever been. But we keep getting unreleased, unfinished bullshit, and sometimes shit that we don't even want. So of course we have a reason to be angry majority of the times and be negative towards a lot of these like game developers, game publishers, game companies, whatever. We have a right to be angry and be negative because of what we're getting. You give us crap, we're gonna give crap back. So I think that like what Nadeshot says, like if you really think about it, is wrong. It's wrong on so many levels. And I think that when he said this, he was generalizing it. And I don't really think, like I've stated, like I've talked for so much in this video, because if you really think about it, he's wrong. 110% he is wrong. But I would definitely like to hear what you guys have to think about this down below. What do you think of Nadeshot's comments? What do you think of like, the gaming, the entire like gaming landscape of 2024 and a lot of upcoming games of how they're looking? Some of them are looking absolutely trash, and I think they deserve the negative feedback that they're getting. And then you get games that look absolutely amazing, like Black Myth Wukong as well. But that's going to be it from me, guys. Make sure you like, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. Peace out.